Yo, it's Do You Hear Me with your boy Uniqo Williams. You already know the deal. Make sure that you like and subscribe to Do You Hear Me with Uniqo Williams and Uniqo Williams on YouTube, and especially if y'all folks you just don't know how to spell. Here it is, Uniqo Williams on YouTube. That's all my socials. But today it is not about me. I have a special guest. Welcome to Art My Special, the Fierce Experience. And I am joined by Sasha today. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. How are you, Joe?
I feel great. I'm so happy. I'm navigating life. I feel great. Um, I'm just so happy. I'm just full of energy at this point. For just a quick thing for me, a quick introduction. I
Yeah.
met this beautiful young lady when we were in school together. So I feel like I'm the younger one. I don't know, but and we grew up and we went through our adulthood and and lived life and gone on to do things in life and all that stuff. But she was always just so hilarious to me. She was always chill and like always a listening ear, and it was
Aw.
just always just random, like, and just here we are, grown ass people. Then I'm sure we've taken a lot of things away from each other, just in passing in the hallways and stuff. Like, just, I don't know, that's just life, right? But
Yeah.
Sasha, tell us a little bit about yourself. What's happening?
Yeah. High school seems like so long ago, can I just say? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's so great to, catch up with you and follow you and see how you're doing and see how you're progressing in life because goodness gracious, the human experience, adulting is incredibly difficult.
Yeah, just a little bit, slightly.
Laugh to add some levity, but I mean, seriously though, it is the fierce experience, right? So that's why I have branded that as my title, The Fierce Experience, Sasha, because life is so hard and we all have a fierceness within us. And if we can learn to ignite that fierceness, then we're unstoppable. Right. And
Mhm.
so it's learning and growing in that confidence of your ability and in yourself and learning how to become resilient. And so that's why it's the fierce experience because life is hard and we all have a fierceness and you can get through it.
Absolutely. And and
Woo.
and I think that's a very important message. um Recently myself, I had been in a situation that where I learned that you may want something for someone else, but at the same time, they would have to want it for themselves.
Yeah.
And I used every trick in the book that I could, in regards to playing around with the mental and trying to show that, hey, life can be great. But at the end of the day, I believe that comes down to a decision. And
Yeah.
so with that being said, you have to figure out a way to make that decision, opposed to saying, "Oh, I do this because of that. I do this because of that." Okay, understand why you've been doing that, and then what can you do to get better. And that's why your pages have always stuck out to me, because you're always sending a message to the next person. Whether, it's kind of like, in a sense, in the Bible, sometimes you go to church and you just don't know what you're going to hear at church. But sometimes it's that one message you need, just because that random time you went to church. And it might just be about, pick yourself up. You're not that bad of a person, and
Yeah.
everybody poops. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
end of the day, what I'm
Yeah.
saying, we need to hear things like that. And you've lifted me up on several days. I'm glad that I'm able
Aw.
to 100% give you the opportunity to share this, and so that y'all can follow her as well and get the same kind of beautiful energy that I get from her over the
Aw.
screen.
Stop it. Well,
Come
thank
on,
you because
come on,
no,
give it to me, give it up, give it up. Let me get a Grammy. No, I was joking.
but really though,
Yeah,
seriously, like that means so much to me just to hear those words because this is very difficult. I mean, I am, opening myself up and becoming completely 1000% vulnerable to strangers to the world for anybody who wants to take my hand and say yes I want to connect with her because we all share that, and you touched on this just a moment ago. We all share the same humanistic baseline, and that humanistic baseline is emotion, just how you were talking about, like, right, you're trying for someone else to have buy-in for them to make good behavior, but you're absolutely right, it has to be that person who is attached to the why, right? Why are they going to make this change? What is the absolute baseline motivation to make that change? And if the person's not engaged in that motivation to make that change, then they're never going to, right?
Mm.
And for us, that's really difficult when we're in a relationship with that person, because obviously we care and love for them. And, and it becomes an extremely difficult situation, because it's like you see, right, the alternative path that they could take, because you're seeing that fierceness in them, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing that light in them. And so I'm opening myself up to the entire public to have this communication, because, again, fundamentally, we're all on the same baseline, which is emotion. I may not understand exactly what it's like to live your trauma, but I know what it's like to live my trauma. I know what grief feels like. I know what jealousy feels like. I know what um, feeling insecure feels like. I know what these feelings feel like. So, yes, our storyline is different, but our feelings are the same. So, if I can reach deep in and connect with that feeling of how I felt at that time in my life with how you're currently feeling, then all of a sudden we have connection.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it seems like I have really been processing this a lot lately, actually, is, what is connection? Why is it so difficult to connect? Because, again, going back to how I took over the conversation was, you were saying how beneficial my videos are to certain people who need to hear that at the right time. But I don't get a lot of feedback, right? And that can be very discouraging. So your words are very hopeful to me, because that's, at the end of the day, I just want to teach people how to make it through alive and thrive, not just breathe, but truly learn how to live, truly learn how to experience the moment, to truly learn what joy and peace feel like, because the chaos that ensues that we carry is self-inflicted. We do it
Mm-hmm.
to ourselves. And if we can learn to set boundaries, we can learn to set limits, we can learn to invest, we can learn to trust, we can learn all these positive things, then all of a sudden we can get into that thriving stage, right?
Absolutely. See, that's what I'm talking about right there. Because a lot of people aren't able to really break it down when, like, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm trying to do. I know, but in regards to how are you doing it? What are you taking into account? What are you doing? What factors are you thinking about in order as to what are you doing? So when it comes to trying to help people, and what, like, you essentially just gave somebody the playbook in regards to how one is to offer their assistance, for one, or even we can even just take bits and pieces out of, like, how can I form a connection with
Right.
somebody, and that, I think the connection is the best part, because if there's not a true connection, it's going to be hard for you to have that conversation. It's going to be hard for a person to be completely truthful, or for you to be completely truthful with each other.
If you have somebody who you are unable to form a connection with, then at some level that's an unhealthy relationship.
Hmm.
At some level, because you cannot have a healthy relationship where one person loves and the other person doesn't.
Right.
This person that loves is infatuated. They're obsessed. They're insecure. They're whatever the case may be that they're feeling, right? Because we have to both be engaged in order to have that healthy relationship, right? So, I mean, yes, people can coexist. Yes, people can be happy together, but you're never truly connecting, right? So it's how do we get to a point where we can truly connect? And before you can ever connect with another person, you have to learn how to connect with yourself.
Hmm.
That
Exactly.
is the key point. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Are you familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
No.
No. Okay. Well, let's go on a little psychology journey. Okay.
Let's go.
Bust
Let's
out
get
my
it.
degree a little bit. Which,
Let's do it.
FYI, I do not have a master's degree in therapy. I have a bachelor's degree in communication, public communication. Like, I have known that I was meant to be on stage since I was 16. Um, but I'm not a therapist. This is just all lived experience, and then also working in social services. So let me just back up for a second before we go down that other rabbit hole because there's so many rabbit holes.
Let's
Okay.
go. Let's go.
Um,
Let's go.
so my name is Sasha, and it's totally the fierce experience, Sasha. And yes, I was meant to do this at such a young age, but I just don't want to mislead anybody. So I grew up in foster care and lived in residential treatment facilities, aged out of the foster care system. I was the poster child for foster care for the state of Indiana from the age of 16 to 21. And I left because I was getting paid in Skittles. Uh, and then I lived life. So this is like a journey. So this is all lived experience. And then my career has always been in social services. So working with mental health centers, working with therapists, working with HSPP psychologists, Department of Child Services. I was a family case manager there. So all of this is truly, by the grace of God, lived experiences. Okay. So now we can go down the rabbit hole of becoming authentic in who we are. So we all carry this briefcase, and in this imaginary briefcase is our authentic self, right? Like it's our true identity. The kind of person that we want to be, the kind of house that we want to have, the kind of Thanksgiving dinners we want with our family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You fill in the blank. We all carry that mental image, right? And so we walk through life with this briefcase, and some days we start to, blow off the cobwebs and wipe the dust away, and we open it up and we say, today I'm going to start working out. Today I'm going to stop smoking. Today I'm going to do whatever it is that you're doing to avoid the mental connection with yourself, whatever that is. You're going to stop doing that thing, and you're going to look at your briefcase. And you're going to say, what is that mental image? How am I close to that mental image, or how far away am I? And what can I do today to become one tiny step closer to becoming that authentic self? Our briefcase, our ideal image. And it can be really hard, right? Because it's a lot easier to lay on the couch. It's a lot easier to drink a beer. It's a lot easier to fill in the blank with whatever addiction that it is, right? Because until we are able to be completely alone by ourselves and be with our thoughts, until we reach that health point, we're always going to look for something to distract us, right? Because then if I'm distracted, it's not my fault, it's your fault, right? We love to blame other people, right? If you would just be nicer, then I wouldn't be depressed and eat and be fat right now, right? If you blah, 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 fill in the blank, fill in the blank, fill in the blank, we want to project instead of assume responsibility. Because in order to become authentic to ourselves and pull out that briefcase, we have to assume tons and tons and tons and tons of responsibility. Because my ideal image is, teaching my children how to connect by showing them through feeling. And I don't know if anybody else out there has ever experienced this, but I feel like I can't be the only one who feels like your parents don't want you to succeed further than what they did. So they want to keep you. And so therefore they struggle with connection, because to connect, I am putting you before me, right? To connect with your spouse, I'm putting my spouse before my ego, before my needs. And so I feel like there's a lot of parents that are scared of connection. They're so traumatized by connection because at the deepest root of trauma is disconnect.
Which is somewhere in that imaginary briefcase?
Okay, so yes, because when we're authentic, we stop believing the lies somebody else told us, right? I was sexually abused, therefore I'm not good enough, right? I was fill in the blank with trauma, therefore I deserved that pain that happened, right? So then I'm limiting my abilities for success because of the trauma that I experienced, and I've now filled these lies on my foundation. Like my foundation is built on lies. It's built on sand. It's not built on truth. So
Mm-hmm.
in order to truly unpack that briefcase, we have to focus on all aspects of ourselves: mind, heart, body, soul. How are we treating other people? How much energy and effort are we putting into our job? Am I waking up today and putting on makeup? Like, I like to look nice. However, there's also lots of days where I don't want to put in the effort that it takes, and I want to throw my hair up in a bun, and I want to skip taking a shower today, and I don't want to put on eyelashes, and I just
Mm-hmm.
want to just be, right?
Right.
But I know whenever I look in myself in the mirror, I don't feel like myself because I'm not being authentic to the ideal image, right? There's a disconnect between what I see in the mirror and my head. And so it's, how do we become congruent? Well, in order to become congruent, it's a big rabbit hole that we have to dive down into. But anyway,
No, I mean, you preaching, sis. Let's go.
I feel like sometimes like it's just like so overwhelming for people to absorb because it's so many rabbit holes, and it's like, stay on topic. One topic only, right?
Yeah, that would be. I say that would be easier for a person that has yet to try and discover themselves. But I'm sure that people have gone down all those rabbit holes at once at some point or another, and it's just like before you're done with that one, we can't don't jump to the next one. You know what I mean? Like in
Yeah.
regards to us as human beings, because it's like, all right, I'm dealing with drinking. I'm dealing with drinking. Ah, my dad passed away. And then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, let me start dealing with that. But that that drinking rabbit hole down there. Let's get back to that part. And it's like, but
Right.
but I forgot. I brought that into this rabbit hole with me. And so now I didn't deal with that part yet.
Yeah.
So I'm still like, and then so I think that anyone that's actually tried to uh, um, find themselves or figure out who they are or what's the issue and how can I fix it, I believe that the way that you're explaining at this point is exactly how people think, and
Good.
that helps people in a sense to for me. And I just might just happen to be a borderline genius, but at the same time, I feel like, but I am a human being, and I've gone through all the different emotions, and it is hard to, in a sense, because nobody thinks like that. You don't just sit here and say, this is the thing, focus, focus, focus right on that. Because you
Yeah.
know that the reason that I'm over here is because there's some stuff over here. And
Yeah.
so I need to kind of tack stuff at a little bit at a time on all these and have that flexibility to be able to jump between those things, because they say you can't it's killing one bird, I mean killing two birds with one stone. And in a sense, you can, in a sense, kind of break them all down to, like, I don't know. I think of a final boss sometimes. They're all a part of the same person, but sometimes
Yeah.
you gotta attack the arms to make sure that the arm goes off so that they can attack you with the arm part, but you still got to deal with the left. But at least you're
Yeah.
handling that part. But at the same time, I'm still dealing with the whole main boss. So there's bits and
Absolutely.
pieces. So I enjoy the way that you're explaining it. 'Cause I'm following for sure.
Good, good. That's good. It can be a lot, I know, to take. So, my hope is just that people listen and absorb what they can, right?
Hmm.
And whatever piece is meant for them. Because you're right, emotions are so difficult. And so it's like, how do we process emotions? Because I feel like we tend to walk around with trauma, and it just combines everything into one big giant mass that we all carry, that's just like this heavy weight, right? And in there you can't distinguish between happiness or true sadness or insecurity versus jealousy, or you fill in the blank. You can't distinguish between feelings to
Hmm.
truly compartmentalize and say, okay, I have this one feeling and I can tie it to this person and then continue to progress, right? I
Hmm.
feel like we don't truly know how to process down the rabbit hole because, okay, so we all have this trauma that we all experienced, right? We
Right.
all have this disconnect rooted that we've all experienced, that is trauma that stops us. Um, oh, see, and there was a rabbit hole that I really wanted to go down and I lost it.
You got it. You got it. Come on, Thumper. You got it.
What was I talking about? Back up.
So just going back down it, there's we all walk around with a trauma.
Oh, right. And so we don't know how to process.
Right.
And that is why we can't get to the root of that lie that we absorbed from the trauma, right? Um, we have to learn to get to that root, and we have to learn to be able to pull it apart and ask ourselves, is this a true reflection of me? If the answer is yes, move on with your life. You learned what you learned along the journey of going down the rabbit hole,
Mm-hmm.
go on. If not, then we have to examine that and we have to ask ourselves, is this true? And if the answer is no, then we have to rewrite the narrative and then backtrack our way up, believing the truth along the way. Oh, okay. Here's an example of learning how to process,
Okay.
right? Okay. So I come home and the trash wasn't taken out, and I told my kid to take the trash out. So I come home and I'm screaming. I'm a banshee. I'm so mad. I'm just, to a 10 over the trash not being taken out. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I have to learn to stop and say, why am I so mad? Why am I screaming? I'm screaming because I'm mad. Why am I mad? I'm mad because my husband is ignoring me. Why is my husband ignoring me? My husband's ignoring me because I'm fat. I'm fat because I eat. I overeat because he does things to make me jealous. Why am I jealous? I'm jealous because I'm insecure. Why am I insecure? I'm insecure because I overeat. Why do I overeat? Because I'm depressed. Why am I depressed? And so it's like you have to keep going down further and further and further and further. And like you said, you can't do it all at one time. Like, this is a journey to get here. Like you said,
Yeah.
you have to focus on, like, okay, yes, I need to get back to alcohol, but someone just died and I need to focus on that. And so I'm going to drink to get through that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but I need to get back to that mind thinking. I have to get back to that rabbit hole. And so we have to allow ourselves to catch the thoughts as we have them, as many as we can, and catch it and hold it captive, process it, and dig as deep as we can before we get distracted with something else.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's beautiful. Yep. And some people lack the temerity to do that, in a sense, just because that rabbit hole or going backward does get deep. I mean, you find yourself going back to well, I'm in my 30s now, so I'm thinking about stuff from when I was like 3 or 4 years old, stuff like, random
Yeah.
stuff like that. That's a lot of life that has been lived
Yeah.
between that point, that trauma, and where you are, who you are today.
Yeah.
That's a lot to go back to. And
Yeah.
and I think that some people, you may not have the first of all, the ability to even know how to backtrack that way, or
Mm-hmm.
even how to process as you're going backtracking
Yeah.
that way. And then some people just may not be able to, or don't have the what do I want to say, the bravery. I don't even want to call it
Yeah. Yeah.
bravery
Yeah. No, no. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to go back that
You
far,
have to be
to
super
see anything.
courageous.
Yeah,
Super
yeah,
courageous.
the
You
courage. I'm
totally
sorry.
do.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you're right. You do have to be brave. Like, it takes a lot of courage. You're absolutely right. Yeah. I mean, and I think I struggle with that piece frequently whenever I process it, because I feel like we're so terrified to think about it,
Hmm.
but it's like you've already lived through the physical, right? Like,
Hmm.
you've lived through the physical trauma. You have lived with, the crying nights, begging for the pain to stop, right?
Hmm.
Like, you already lived through it, right? The pain in the moment. And so then it's like, why is it so difficult for us then to mentally process it? Like, are we afraid that we're going to find what we already know is true? Like, we all walk around with the truth. Like, we all know, right? We know I shouldn't be drinking alcohol. We know I shouldn't be, I don't know, all the addictions out there, gambling, whatever it is, right? Like I
Yeah.
know the right answer and what I need to do. I know that I need to put the weed down and open up a book and go to college. I know that I need to fill out job applications. I know that so if we know all these things to do the right thing, then why don't we do it? Because we're so trying to ignore what's in our head, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like you've already experienced it. Just allow yourself to mentally heal from it, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Instead of like continuing to relive it in your head all the time. And
Yes, because it follows you. It's like a crazy like you can't. Okay, so my husband went into so before we met at Ball State. He's 7 years older than I am, and I was a freshman, and I was friends with his roommates. And he came back from the military. He was in Afghanistan for a year,
thank you
and
for your service,
thanks. Yeah. And so he came back, and he wasn't ready to finish his degree. Like he had went back to school for a semester, and then he was just like, I need some time. Like, you know, obviously you don't have any freedom really over there. You know what I'm saying? Like you're on command all the time. So he wanted to be able to read books, and he wanted to be able to watch movies, and he wanted to be able to spend time with his friends and his family and reconnect and, with society. And then before you knew it, years continuously passed by, and we've been together for 16 years. And I kept mentioning along the way, like, you're so smart. Like, why don't you go back to school? And, he had like a semester to finish.
Mhm.
But life keeps happening, right? Like, different job, are you going to be able to do it? Well, then eventually we became parents, and we have a 3-year-old and a 20-month-old now. And so he actually
Congrats.
graduated this past May.
Mhm.
Yeah. And, but finally I told him, I was like, babe, I was like, the entire time we've been in a relationship, it's never been just me and you, right? You've always carried this weight with you of what if, right? And so now we have two daughters, and you have a full-time job, and we have a mortgage to pay and all these things, right? So obviously it's a lot harder now than it was 10 years ago. But there just became a point where it's like, it's just not worth it to carry it, right? That
Right.
guilt, that shame, like you think about it all the time. And so it's like, if we think about the pain all the time, then why don't we just deal with it?
Deal with it. Handle
And
it and
it's
then move
hard and
on.
it's scary, but I know, but and then it's everything just comes back to the circle. Like it's always a circle.
Hey, I was thinking in regards to the like filling in holes and things like that. So I myself had an issue with drinking, and it was just honestly it was just like I was just drinking just to drink a lot of times, like,
Yeah.
and then I would say, oh well, I'm going through this, or
Mhm.
it never came down to it makes me feel good, because I'm thinking about like the next day of
Yeah.
like, okay, I can't stay off the toilet. I feel miserable as I'm just doing my day to day stuff. I don't want to do the things that I love to do, which is be amongst the people, go out and about. I can't go anywhere because I'm drunk, because I can't drive. So there's
Yeah.
all that going on. So then I noticed I found something that was uh, an outcome due to me not drinking, or a consequence of me drinking. And that was I wasn't eating a lot. And
Mm.
so I was like, okay, I'm losing weight and it's because I'm drinking. And so now what should I do? So my effort to stop drinking, just all willy-nilly, just because I was like, whenever I want to drink, why don't you just eat? So now that thing that was that I was craving for, it pops in and it makes me go and do the exact opposite, because I know that it was hurting me in this way. So when I'm thinking about that, why don't you go eat now?
Mhm.
And now your stomach is full. I don't have room to drink at this point. And now
Yeah.
I'm doing something better for myself because of this one thing that was
Yeah.
actually hurting me. And that's where I see where, like, when we think about those kind of things, I think that's a healthy way to combat some of the things that we may have addictions to. So it's like, if I'm eating a lot and I feel insecure, like, okay, I'm big because I'm eating a lot, and I'm eating a lot. because of whatever, but I want to be in more better shape. So when I had that desire to just go, Wendy's right there. Let's
Mm-hmm.
drive past Wendy's and then let's utilize our YMCA membership and then go there instead. When we so like finding something positive to replace when we're needing something else, one of those things that we used to fill the void with, fill it with the void of something that's positive that is more closer to the true you.
Yeah.
Am I getting it right out of that? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
cool, cool, cool,
Precisely.
cool. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, see, I told you I'm
You,
following. We got
yeah.
this.
So it's all about retraining your brain. It's all
Retraining.
about learning to quiet the chaos so that you can truly hear the connection voice, if that makes sense. Because we all have tons of voices all the time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if we can quiet the chaos, I'm not good enough, I suck, I'm fat, I am broke, I whatever. If we can quiet all that chaos, then we can follow the voice that is saying, hey, you haven't called your mom in a while. Why don't you pick up the phone and call your mom? Hey, um, your husband really likes icebreaker mints. Why don't you stop at the gas station and surprise him on your way home? Hey, why don't you call your cousin that you haven't talked to in 5 years because they stole $100 from you? Why don't you call them? Then we can listen to that voice. But we're never going to be able to hear that voice if our ego is centered in us. Because if your ego, then you're going to say, he didn't buy me anything. Why am I going to buy him some icebreakers? Right?
Right.
She stole the money from me. Why do I have to be the one to reach out to her? Right? Then
Wow.
we
Yeah.
start getting into that ego.
Yeah.
But when we can set that ego down and say, I love that person. I did something wrong in that relationship. Let me do what I can to repair. And if they reject, then clearly that person still has some growth to do.
Hmm.
But if they accept, then either way, no matter what the outcome is, you still get to relieve yourself of that baggage. Because then you can rewrite the narrative and say, yeah, I shouldn't have stolen the money, but I called, I apologized, I admitted fault, and I'm becoming a better person for doing that. And so I'm working on my authentic self. I'm working on my briefcase, and that's all that I can do.
See,
Right?
that's beautiful right there. Because again, it goes back to the person they may have stolen the money and whatnot. And by you coming out and saying what you said, and telling that person like, yo, I'm sorry, I'm different. And they might not accept that, but it's the fact that you were being true to that moment,
Yeah.
opposed to saying, um, well, maybe I can keep the lie going that maybe I didn't. I don't want to have that. I don't want people to truly know that I was capable of actually doing that. I want to still continue. Face it,
Mhm.
and then you can move on, opposed to
Mhm.
having to keep up. Well, what did I tell this person last time, or what did I tell this person over here that I can't remember? What lie did I say to
Yeah.
continue trying to protect the mask
Yeah. And it's
when I need?
exhausting.
Yeah, do stop protecting the mask, right?
There's no rest in that. There's
Never.
no peace. There's no joy. There's no there's no breath. There's no life in that. Right.
Right.
And one of the videos that I did not too terribly long ago was we can't twist the arm of God. It doesn't work that
Mm.
way.
Mm.
Right. Like reality is reality. Whether you choose to believe it and accept it, reality is reality. And I don't know about you, but I know that I want to be grounded in true reality. I do not want to live a life where I am constantly a byproduct of other people's actions.
Mm.
If I'm a ping pong ball bouncing all around, emotional and, just woo, it's a mess up there in my brain, then I'm not able to be in the moment. I'm
Hmm.
not able to find joy. I'm not able to find peace and rest. And so it's like, you know, My husband, do I trust my husband? Yes, I trust my husband. If I didn't trust my husband, then that's a serious conversation that he and I would have to have, right?
Right.
And so it's like we're so afraid of losing death that we hold on to it for comfort.
Exactly. I hear you.
And that is really sad to me because I don't want to be a byproduct of other people's actions. If you don't love me enough to respect my boundaries, then clearly this is not a relationship that I need to continue to invest time in. If it hurts me that you go out to the bar and drink every night and you're not willing to make that change because it hurts me because you're supposed to love me, I'm not doing it. I'm not asking out of selfish desire because I don't want you to go cheat or because I don't want you to, find somebody else or whatever it is. I'm not asking you out of jealousy, right?
Right.
I'm asking you because I love you and because I care about you and I don't want to lose you and I don't want you to experience the pain that comes along with alcoholism, right? If
Right.
I genuinely love you and I'm genuinely asking you, and if that's not good enough, and you're not willing to, again, respect my boundaries, then this isn't a relationship that I need to be in, right? I need to exit that relationship. And it can be as superficial, if you're in a position, if you have a job where there's no life being breathed into you and and it's dead and there's just no life there, then why are we afraid to turn in our 2-week notice and find a
Right.
different job, right?
Exactly.
um we have to set boundaries for every single relationship that we hold on to. And boundaries are very vital. And without boundaries, then we're not able to stop being a byproduct of other people's actions.
Love it. Love it. Right there. And and you spoke about ego. And I'm well versed in that. And the thing is though, is it okay to use ego or is ego taken out of the equation when it comes to setting those boundaries and things like that? Where does this where is or do we not even call it ego at that point? Like just having the strength to say this is this is that, and it's going to be
Yeah.
like this or it's just not.
Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily correlate ego with boundaries because boundaries is just saying, I have respect for myself that I don't deserve to go cry every night because
Okay.
you are putting me in situations that I don't feel comfortable in.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
Like, and so I wouldn't necessarily tie the two together. So ego, to shed yourself of the ego, you are truly putting somebody else in front of you, something else. And my firm belief is that it's God, right? Like I'm a Christian. And so, I'm reading through the entire Bible. I go to church. It's been a spiritual journey. I truly believe that, it's 1000% that God's grace as to why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever we're able to truly put God ahead of us, ourselves, then we're able to shed that ego. But in order to be able to focus mentally on even getting there, we have to have those boundaries. So I don't think that it's ego to have boundaries because that's just saying what I know about myself and what I can tolerate and what I can't tolerate. So for instance, I worked from home for 4 years. So it was like, I could not stand a messy house. Like it was my office. I was there 24/7. Like I needed my house to be clean. And my husband struggled with that because that wasn't a priority of his. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? But in order for him and I to connect and to be able to be in a healthy relationship with each other where he respects me and I respect him, then okay, one time he made the comment because I used to, like, before children, needed my house to be like magazine perfect, like seriously 24/7. And he even made the comment one time because he had a jacket laying over the couch, just like a simple jacket laying over the couch. And I had said something to him about it, and he was like, "I live here. Like I live here, Sasha." And so then I had to take a step back.
Did you cut the grass real quick? Like, I mean, got a point.
I know. So then I had to take it, but see, it was my need to control because if I could control my environment, then I could control my mind, then I could control, that briefcase and starting to work on it, right? So if my house is clutter and chaos, then I'm going to feel clutter and chaos in my brain because it's going to drive me crazy. So then I'm not going to be able to focus on my briefcase. And so whenever he said that to me, I was like, okay, like, yeah, all right, let me take a step back. Let's look at this again. So I can move my boundary, towards his, but I need him to move his towards mine, right?
Right.
And
Right.
also going back to previously where becoming authentic to yourself takes a lot of responsibility. This is what I mean by that. So then I had to change my expectation of my husband and say, okay, it's my expectation that my house be perfect, not his. So therefore, I need to be doing more cleaning of the house than expecting him to match me 50-50,
Right.
right? Because
Right.
that wasn't the agreement. I established that unilaterally, not together. So then I was like, okay, well, I can clean 75% of the time because it's my need. And so I actually have to get up and do something. And that's
Mhm.
where the responsibility comes in. I have to actually get up and do something. So, another example is sometimes parents, especially from our age, right? They wanted to scream, they wanted to yell, they wanted to paddle, they wanted to do these things to force us into submission, right? Which I'm not saying that, well, I don't, whatever. But anyway, um,
No, I hate, but yeah, I mean, forcing people to submit to what they want, opposed to them making that decision of like,
yeah,
yeah. And I thought about that like growing up, like in regards to like if I were to be blessed with a baby at some point, um at my age now, I think that a lot of the rearing would be, the main theme would be, are we making good decisions today? That's all. I'm just leaving. Is that a good decision? I see you on top of the counter about to jump off. Hey, is that a good decision?
yeah,
Obviously be there to catch them, and I don't want you to get hurt, but just in my head, like, is that a good decision? Just
yeah,
it's starting to think about what we do, and consequence. People think of it as a bad thing. No, consequence can be a good consequence or a bad consequence, but consequence just means that's the outcome of a decision.
yeah.
So
No,
with that being said, just this is a decision, and are you making the right one right now?
it's funny that you say that because I totally say that to my 3-year-old all the time. If she's doing something, which going back to child rearing and boundaries and all of that and setting expectations, like I have set the expectation with her, and assuming responsibility, also wrapping all of those up together.
Mm,
So I've established the boundary with her that I'm going to ask her several times for something like, hey, mommy needs you to get your shoes, Lily. Lily, can you get your shoes? Lily, mommy's asked you several times now to get your shoes. If I'm going to start counting to 3. Once I count to 3, mommy's going to get up and mommy's going to, I don't know, maybe that was a bad one because like, what are you going to do if they don't get their shoes? Like, you're just going to get up and go get their shoes for them. Okay, maybe car seat, right? But it still takes responsibility because I have to get up and do it, right? But maybe it's car seat. So maybe it's, hey, you want to be a big girl? Mommy's going to start counting to 3, and if you don't get in your car seat by the time I got to 3, then mommy's going to pick you up and put you in your car seat, right? It takes responsibility for me to get up and make some type of action, right? Mommy's going to get up and get the remote from you. Mommy's going to, whatever the case may be. And so now, since I've established that boundary with her, she'll kind of like lollygag around, right? But
mhm.
then once I start counting, she's like, okay, I need to go. Because I ask her all the time, do you want it the easy way or the hard way? Easy way or hard way? Your choice. You can either climb up in the car seat and be a big girl and be proud of yourself, or mommy can put you up there. And I know you're going to get mad that mommy puts you up there because you want to be a big girl. Easy way
Mhm.
or hard way? And 9 times out of 10, she will always choose the easy way. And so it's very important to make our children learn how to process. Um, Not too long ago, Lily, she, what was I doing? So I had a really difficult delivery with my baby, like extremely difficult. Like I was walking with a cane for like 8 months after her birth, like
Wow.
extremely difficult.
Wow.
And I had done something that day. And so I was in some pain. And Lily wanted me to pick her up. And I was like, honey, I was like, mommy loves you. Mommy really wants to. Mommy will bend down and give you a hug. I was like, but mommy can't pick you up right now because mommy's in a lot of pain. Okay. Mommy's back hurts. It's just not going to be good for me. Okay. And so then, she started like whining and started trying to cry. And so I immediately stopped her and I said, Lily, I said, mommy said that she's in pain and that she can't pick you up. It's more important to you that I pick you up than for mommy to not be in pain. You want mommy to be in pain, right? And I'm trying to like help her make these connections about feelings, being considerate, right? But something that's also still appropriate for her, but engaging her stimulation to the next level, right? And my
Mhm.
husband walks by and he's like, she's only 3 years old. And I'm like, yeah, but this is how I stop from spanking my child, right? Like this is how I stop having to put her in the corner. This is how I don't lose my ever loving mind on my kids because I'm training her at such a young age. So hopefully by the time she's an adult, she's well grounded and well established in that foundation, right? Of knowing how to connect, because even in the hard times, she's still able to connect with mommy, right? And in the happy time, she's able to connect with mommy. And if she can connect, and if I don't destroy that connection, then she's going to have a really good picker when it comes to relationships. She's going to be able to listen to that voice on the inside that says, this feels bad. I don't want to do this. I
Mhm.
need to call mom. I don't want to drink and drive. I don't want to be in the car with you if you're going to drink and drive. I don't want to sneak out of my house because we become so numb to the feeling of poor decisions because of that trauma of the disconnect rooted in childhood, right?
Mhm.
And so then the songs that we listen to, and like, no, I'm not like that. You know, I I don't know how to say it. Like, I'm not like, oh my gosh, you should never listen to. I chose in 2019 when the good voice, the light voice made me question if I should be watching murder mystery shows all the time.
98% of America's favorite pastime.
Yes, yes, right. And I was right there. Like, Criminal Minds. Like, I mean, I even bought some seasons of Criminal Minds. And like now it's been on for like 25 seasons or something crazy like that. But yeah, I was like so into it. But then in my darkest days, it got worse and worse. Like Saul. Like I could never watch Saul. Like I am not like a gore. Ugh, no, thank you. But like the psychological thriller, like then I'm all about that, right?
Yeah.
And so then American Horror Story came out, and like I ignored it because I was like, no, that's too scary for me. I'll just stick to Criminal Minds. But then I got sucked in season after season after season after season. And because the actors are really good and like they're really interesting story plots, like I was digging it. But then I felt like you're trying to feed your mind of health, but yet you're watching all of this murder and mental chaos, right? And so then I cut everything out, and so I don't watch. So now I watch like the good shows, which is like Andy Griffith and MASH and Brady Bunch and Sister.
Right.
Like we watch family shows at our house, Full House. Um, and the other night I couldn't sleep, and this was just like last week. And so I came out on the couch, and everybody else was sleeping, and I was like, "Oh, Criminal Minds! Like I haven't watched that in a long time." And so I like turned it on one episode, and like the whole time, like I was like, oh, like I just felt like the tenseness and the and it just, and I was like, why? Like I don't want to feel like tense. Like I want to feel relaxed. Like I want to feel
Right.
good. I want to feel happy. Like I want those positive dopamine hits, right? Like I want the good. And so then I turned it off, and I told my husband, I was like, yeah, no, that's not for me anymore. Like because we just become so desensitized
Mhm.
and numb to the bad feelings, right? And so it's like if I can raise my daughter to be addicted to the good feelings, then I'm setting her up for success. But anyway.
That's a wonderful point, and like my thing, like what we ingest and what we see every day, and what we're around can really dictate our mood and who we are. Like, and I know you were talking, we spoke on a job that's not feeling fulfilling, and like I noticed that even in my career of customer service and whatnot and teaching it, it's I felt fulfilled after a new class left, right?
Mm.
Like I've set these people off, and now they're going to go out there, and all the things that they are going to do and be great at is because I helped them do this, and I feel great about it, and I love hearing how they got 100, and that my
Oh,
work reflects on what they did, and I'm so
yeah,
happy about that. But then there are other aspects of the job that weren't making me happy, and I was like looking for that balance, but I was like, no, I want to truly want to go to work every single day and do things.
yeah,
So life goes on, and it was like you keep thinking about, well, I just need to make money. I just need to do this, blah. But that's 8 hours of your life, sometimes 12, whatever it may be. And that's 8 hours or 12 hours of just taking in that energy. So, I started dibbling dabbling in the in the industry field and working around in like factories production and all that type of stuff. I'm
mm,
like, I don't like how this is making me feel. I don't like, and I cuss. It is what it is, but I'm a nice guy. But the thing is just like excessive cussing. This started making me feel weird, like because I've been in the customer service industry for so long that
oh, mhm,
it's just like, ugh, do you need to talk like that all the time? And you
yeah,
think about like even bosses and things like that, and how like something as small as my supervisor didn't even say hi to me today.
mm,
What am I just nothing? Like in my briefcase, I feel like I'm somebody that can be helpful. I'm somebody that you want to walk up to, and I'm somebody that can change your mood in a day. I'm somebody just from just a small conversation. Hey, did you
yeah,
watch Dragon Ball Z last night? Oh, hey, blah blah blah, anything like that. And in my new field where I'm at, I'm in a place where I'm happy because I know what I'm doing is helping people, and I get to have those human interaction as well in regards to just a smile or just it's I felt so energized leaving from work yesterday. I was so happy because I was like, my
oh,
day meant something to me.
yeah,
And then just a little two side jokes real quick. The first one was like, okay, Criminal Minds, you just didn't hear unsub enough. I mean, oh my god, I've never heard unsub so much in 21 minutes in my life. And then my other joke was about, but also somewhat serious, is the consequence aspect of things, like telling your daughter, um, you can get in your seat and be a big girl and go on about the rest of your day, or I can put you in there and then you get to have a long ride where you're just looking out the window like, I'm not a big girl.
yeah,
And so it's like, do you want to, like, you have two ways that you can go down these paths,
yeah,
and like you go to a deep depression today about not being a big girl, or you can go be a big girl and just continue to live the rest of your day knowing and having that energy in you that I'm good. I'm not going through it today. You know what I
yep.
mean? And
Do
like,
you want to know what that is?
what is that?
That is either choosing to be a victim or choosing to be resilient.
I see. So being resilient would be, okay, the best
I
course of
can.
action I
I
can do.
can. I'm capable. I want to feel good. I'm going to take control. I'm not going to be a byproduct. I'm going to overcome. I'm going to process. I'm going to make the right choice.
I have to be in that car seat regardless.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. You're going to wake up tomorrow regardless. You're going to continue to think about the trauma and the disconnect regardless. You're going to look in the mirror and say that you're fat and you're ugly regardless. So choose the right one that's going to stop that from happening,
Mm.
right?
Yep.
So take control of it and become resilient and say, you know what? I made some poor decisions. I'm going to assume responsibility for that. I'm going to forgive myself and I'm going to grow and we're going to chalk it up and move it on and keep it moving, right?
Absolutely. That's a beautiful way to look at it. Are y'all listening, y'all? Are y'all listening? Make sure. And I hate to, we rolling. I know we can do this all day.
I mean,
But
we could. I really could. Yeah.
I think that we should probably get together and figure out some kind of thing. Nothing, no kind of a set in stone thing, but I think this will be a good thing to potentially do, like maybe a segment, maybe once every 2 weeks, once a week, maybe once a month, whatever it is, just some kind of
Yeah,
segment to bring people back into the fold, and
yeah.
just something for people to do. So that's something we should definitely think about doing, because we can actually break things down in the subject. But I'm
I mean,
glad
there's
that, yeah,
so many rabbit
yeah,
holes, so
absolutely.
many.
And we can break them down, and even that can give you some time to figure out what's important today that's on my heart, and we can talk about that. And I think that y'all know what, I'm doing it. We're doing it. At some point, we'll do it. We do it on your schedule, but definitely that's something we're doing it. We're doing it. We'll figure it
Yay!
out. We'll
I would
figure it
love
out.
that because I mean, like, I haven't even started to talk about my book. I haven't even started to talk about my work with legislation. I haven't even started to talk about, so much. And so it's like there are so many things to talk about, and so many different rabbit holes to go down. And so I would love the opportunity to be able to do that and to be able to connect with your followers and my followers, and really engage people in their life. Because I mean, it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so just so that everybody knows, on my pages, I do video blogs. So in 2019, I was filled with so much anxiety and so much depression, that I literally could not leave my house without shaking and crying. I was in full existentialism crisis. I was in the abyss. I was not grounded to any type of true foundation. Everything was built on sand. I was believing all of these lies. And I became pretty much paralyzed to leave my house. And so I went out into the woods in 2019. And whenever I try to say off of social media, which sounds bad because like here I am trying to be like a media person
Mhm,
and
mhm,
a digital creator, which is not congruent because God's forced that on me. But I humbly accept. But in 2019, I started doing video diaries. And then whenever I was out in the woods, because I don't know if I stated that already or not, but because of all the anxiety, I went to my husband and I was like, look, like, I am not okay. I'm about to go into the abyss. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it back or not. And I'm terrified. And I said, I know what the light is telling me. I know what the voice is saying. It's telling me I need to go to the woods. And so he was like, Sasha, you went camping like twice in your entire life. I was like, yeah, but I went to Google and I know all the things that I need. So let's go to the store. And so we did. And initially I was hoping to be gone for like 2 months, but I ended up only going for 2.5 weeks, but it's okay. It's a start. And so I went to Hoosier National Forest and I lived in the woods for 2.5 weeks,
mhm,
completely by myself, trying to limit all the distractions so that I could truly learn how to process. And so I started doing video diaries then. So if you check out my pages and you see some videos from 2019, that's what I'm showcasing is the starts, the beginnings, the beginning work of unpacking that briefcase and truly looking at who I am authentically and trying to process in a video format, so that I can teach this, because this isn't something that I want to do. This is who I am,
mhm.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. That's,
Follow
man.
me.
That's dope. I told y'all. I just keep telling them. But
So follow me, follow
yeah,
Unique Williams, and let's go down this rabbit hole.
absolutely. So here's the deal. First off, um, again, I think what I'm gonna do is, guys, I'm gonna create a new playlist for my page. Just whenever I get an opportunity to get with Sasha, and you'll be able to find all of her videos that we do going forward there. I believe this was a great introduction to you and what you're
Thank
doing.
you.
Again, invite it to the show whenever you want to, and then
Thank you.
let them know where they can follow you. Also, the links will be in the description as well, guys, so you can go to all of her things, everything she does. You're not going to be disappointed. Let them know where to find you.
Thank you. So I'm on Facebook at The Fierce Experience : Sasha. below. And then I'm also on TikTok. And like I said, I'm not a social media person, so I have to like look at my phone. But it's
Yeah.
at _Sasha_fierce. But it looks like you could also Google maybe, or not Google, but search the Fierce Experience Sasha and find me too. But anyway, it's at _Sasha_fierce.
Got it. So
But you're gonna
guys,
get most of my stuff on Facebook because I
okay.
do writings and I do like I make memes and stuff like that. So you're gonna find all of my content on Facebook and obviously just the videos on TikTok. Yeah.
Do that, guys. Like I said, the link is going to be in the description. And of course, I am Uniqo Williams. You know where you can find me at Uniqo Williams, UNIQO Williams. But again, Sasha, thank you so much for dropping the knowledge on us. I can't wait till the next time we get together. We'll dive more into your book and what's going on there. And I can't wait.
Thank you for having me. It was a wonderful first experience. So thank you for being my first.
Hey, no problem. So again, thank you for tuning into another episode of Do You Hear Me? With Uniqo Williams. Holla. Thanks for watching. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms. Don't forget, every Thursday, the full podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and mama, I'm on Spotify. Overall 99 ENT bring you videos from Friday all the way to Friday. So be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate it. Again, thank you so much.